to the midnight hour.
Hi, you can call me William. There's something I've never been able to explain, but it still stays with me and my sister. It started the day my mother introduced us to Andres, her new boyfriend from Spain. I was 15 at the time. My sister Jillian was 17. Our father passed away in a car accident 7 years earlier, and it had only been us. My mom worked non-stop as a travel consultant, managing clients across time zones to support us. She never complained. She never slowed down. Everything she did was for us. For years, she didn't allow herself anything beyond being our mother. When she started dating again, Jillian and I promised we would support her. She deserved happiness. She deserved to laugh again. At first, Andres was just a name mentioned over dinner. Then he became small signs around the house. Flowers on the counter, late-night phone calls, the faint scent of unfamiliar cologne in the living room. The day we met him, he brought wine for my mom and a calm smile for us. He was handsome, effortlessly so. Dark hair, warm eyes, a voice confident without sounding arrogant. He chose his words carefully, like each one mattered. He asked about our interests, our classes, our future plans. Jillian, usually more skeptical than me, seemed impressed. But something about him unsettled me almost immediately. It started with a simple question about our ages. 17, Jillian answered. 15, I said. His eyes lingered on Jillian just a moment too long. 17, he repeated softly. The smile that followed never reached his eyes. It wasn't obvious. It wasn't inappropriate, but something about it felt misaligned. I told myself I was imagining it. Weeks passed, and he spent more time at our house. He cooked elaborate meals with names we couldn't pronounce. He brought thoughtful gifts. Books he said reminded him of us. Small souvenirs from places he traveled. He was attentive, observant, almost too observant. He remembered Jillian's favorite dessert after hearing it once. He complimented my mom in subtle, perfectly timed ways. Never excessive. Always measured. It felt like he was building something. And slowly, it worked. My mom smiled more. She laughed more. The exhaustion on her face began to soften. Jillian seemed comfortable around him. Even playful. But I couldn't shake the feeling he was performing. He was too polished. Too prepared. Like he had memorized the role of devoted boyfriend perfectly. 5 months later, they announced they were getting married. Just like that, no long engagement. No slow transition. We're not getting any younger, my mom said gently. I forced a smile. But inside, something tightened. It felt rushed. Calculated. I couldn't explain why. And I didn't want to question her happiness. So I accepted him, or pretended to. After the wedding, we moved into his house. It was enormous, a pristine white mansion with 6 bedrooms. High ceilings. A kitchen that felt like a showroom. Everything gleamed. The floors reflected like glass. The walls held expensive art that felt strangely impersonal. The house was beautiful and completely lifeless. The silence felt unnatural, like the air itself was too still. Every room was immaculate, yet deeply unsettling. The bedrooms felt like empty eyes watching me. The closets stood open like waiting spaces. Even the bright kitchen seemed to hum with something I couldn't name. For 3 months, everything appeared normal. He played the role flawlessly. Then my mom announced a month-long overseas trip. "It's a huge opportunity," she said. Just a few weeks. She trusted him completely. And that terrified me. I didn't trust him at all. As the departure date approached, the house felt heavier, like it was holding its breath. One afternoon after school, I found something that changed everything. I wasn't looking for anything specific. I was wandering the house, restless and searching for distraction. That's when I noticed the tapestry at the end of the hallway. I had passed it countless times before. I had never given it a second thought. But that day something felt different. It was hanging slightly uneven, like it had been moved. Curiosity pulled at me. I stepped closer and gently pulled the fabric aside. Behind it was a door I had never seen before. It looked old. Much older than the rest of the house. The wood was dark and worn, scratched along the edges, like it had been used many times before. The handle was rusted. When I wrapped my fingers around it, the metal felt cold. The door creaked as I pushed it open. The sound echoed through the quiet hallway. Inside was a small, dim room. The only light came from a narrow window near the ceiling. The walls were covered in photographs. At first I assumed they were normal family pictures. Smiling parents, laughing children, families standing close together. But when I stepped closer, my stomach tightened. In every single photograph, Andres was there. In each one, he stood in the center. An arm around a woman and smiling confidently. A hand resting on a child's shoulder. Like the head of the family. Like he truly belonged there. But the families were different in every picture. Different women. Different children. Different homes. Why would he have photographs with so many families? Who was he really? The question echoed in my mind. And it kept getting louder. Then I noticed something else. In the center of the room stood a large statue, nearly as tall as a person. It was covered in heavy black fabric. The shape underneath looked unusual. Broad shoulders, and something extending from the top of the head. A horn, maybe. I was not sure. My pulse quickened. Part of me told me to leave. To close the door. To pretend I had never found this place. But another part of me needed to understand. What was he hiding? Slowly I stepped closer to the statue. I reached for the fabric. And then, I heard a car pulling into the garage. The low rumble of the engine. The metallic groan of the garage door opening. Panic surged through me. I dropped my hand and stumbled backward. My heart pounded as I rushed out of the hidden room. I carefully pulled the door shut. I slid the tapestry back into place. Before leaving, I grabbed several photographs from the wall. I needed to show Jillian. That evening, Andres cooked dinner like everything was normal. The smell of food filled the kitchen. He moved calmly between the stove and the table. relaxed and composed. We sat together, the three of us. He talked casually about his day. He asked about school. Jillian answered cheerfully. Her voice sounded light and animated. I barely spoke. Being near him felt different after what I saw. Every smile seemed carefully practiced. Every glance lasted a second too long. I think he noticed. "Are you okay?" he asked, looking directly at me. His eyes searched my face carefully. I forced myself to smile and said I was fine. I did not want him suspecting anything. Before dinner ended, Andres cleared his throat. He said he would be having visitors later that night. They were very important to him. Jillian and I exchanged a quick glance. He said it was important we stayed in our rooms. He did not want any inconvenience from us. And the people coming were very important. There was something deliberate in the way he said it. He had never asked us to stay in our rooms before. We both nodded and agreed. We had no reason to refuse. But we were curious. Very curious. After dinner, I slipped into Jillian's room quietly. I closed the door and spread the photographs on her bed. At first, she looked confused. She asked what she was looking at. "He is in all of them," I whispered. "Different families, different houses, but he is always there. Like he belongs to them, like he is their father." She leaned closer and studied the photos carefully. "Maybe he is a model, or they are just collections." "No," I said, shaking my head. "Why would he hide them, and why are there so many? Why is he having important visitors tonight? Why do we have to stay in our rooms? What are they doing, and who are they?" The questions spilled out of me one after another. Jillian sighed and said I was overthinking it. She said Andres would not hurt us. But I heard a slight tremor in her voice. Maybe she was afraid to. Maybe she was just trying to stay calm. I stopped arguing. But I did not feel reassured. "Can I stay here tonight?" I asked quietly. She hesitated for a moment. Then she nodded. "Okay." We lay in her bed in the dark. The house felt different now. Heavier. I listened to every small sound. The hum of the refrigerator. The faint ticking of a clock downstairs. I wanted to keep talking to Jillian. But her breathing slowly became steady. She had fallen asleep. I stared at the ceiling. I couldn't close my eyes. Close to midnight, I heard it. A car engine, then another. Gravel crunching beneath tires. Doors shutting softly. Low voices, whispers. The kind of whispers people use when they don't want to be heard. My body went rigid. I thought about getting up to look through the window. But I remembered his warning. "Stay in your rooms." I shut my eyes and tried to sleep. I couldn't. Curiosity and fear twisted together in my chest. After several long minutes, I slowly slipped out of bed. I opened Jillian's door carefully. wincing at the faintest creak. The hallway was dark, silent. I stepped out, slowly, carefully, as quietly as I could. But my heart was pounding so loudly I was sure it could be heard downstairs. As I moved closer to the whispering, my stomach dropped. The voices were coming from the hidden room. The same room I had discovered that afternoon. I lowered myself behind the counter where the shadows were thick. From there, I could see clearly. The tapestry had been pulled aside. The door stood open. Inside, Andres stood in a circle with 7 other people. Men and women around his age. They wore black hooded cloaks that hid most of their faces. The dim light flickered. Their shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls. They were chanting. Low, rhythmic murmurs. It sounded almost like Latin, but I couldn't be certain. The words blended together into a steady hum. My skin prickled. Goosebumps rose along my arms. And then I saw what stood at the center of their circle. The statue. The one I had almost uncovered. Now it was fully revealed. It had the shape of a human body. But the head resembled a goat. 2 long, curved horns extended upward. Its dark surface reflected the dim light. Its expression looked almost like a smile. They were performing some kind of ritual. My heart pounded violently. My mouth went dry. I felt the urge to gasp. And suddenly, a hand covered my mouth. I nearly collapsed in fear. Another arm pulled me backward into the shadows. Shh, someone whispered urgently. It was Jillian. Relief hit me so hard my knees weakened. For a second, I thought Andres had caught me. I nodded, forcing myself to breathe quietly. She slowly removed her hand, but kept a finger to her lips. Stay quiet. We turned our attention back to the room. The chanting began to slow. One of the cloaked figures stepped forward and spoke in a low voice. I couldn't hear everything. But one word came through clearly. Sacrifice. The room fell silent. Then Andres spoke. He removed his hood. And he smiled. I had never seen that expression before. It wasn't warm. It wasn't charming. It wasn't the careful smile he used at dinner. This one was cold. Almost anticipatory. In 1 week, he said calmly, Jillian turns 18. She will be ready. A ripple moved through the group. Soft murmurs. Quiet approval. The date we've been waiting for is near, someone replied. My blood felt like ice. Beside me, Jillian went completely still. Slowly, we looked at each other. Terror mirrored in both our faces. They were talking about her. About her birthday. About something planned. We didn't need to hear the rest. We understood enough. We were in danger. The group began discussing preparations. Timing. Arrangements. Their voices overlapped in quiet excitement. We used that moment. Slowly, carefully, We backed away. Every step felt too loud. Every breath felt exposed. We didn't run. We couldn't risk it. We slipped down the hallway and into Jillian's room. She locked the door with trembling hands. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The silence was suffocating. Then I looked at her. She was shaking. Tears streamed down her face without a sound. Her entire body trembled as reality settled in. She was the one they wanted. Fear churned inside me, but I forced myself to stay steady. If I lost control too, there would be no one thinking clearly. "It's okay," I whispered. I didn't know if it was true. We didn't dare say more. The walls suddenly felt thin, like they could hear us. We lay down again. Neither of us truly slept. We repeated one thought over and over. We were still safe. Not until her birthday. Before closing our eyes, we listened carefully. One by one, car engines started outside. Gravel crunched. Headlights swept past the window. Only when the final engine faded into the distance did we allow ourselves to breathe. But even then, sleep never fully came. Because now we knew. And knowing made the house feel even more dangerous. Morning arrived, but it didn't bring relief. Jillian and I felt exhausted. Like we hadn't slept. We sat at the kitchen table, forcing ourselves to eat. Andres moved around as if nothing had happened. He smiled. He talked about work. He poured coffee. He asked ordinary questions. Ordinary. That was the most unsettling part. I kept hearing his voice from the night before. In 1 week, Jillian turns 18. She will be ready. I kept my eyes on my plate. If I looked too long, he might see the truth. He noticed our silence. "You both seem quiet this morning," he said. Jillian swallowed, "Just tired." He nodded. Then he smiled at her again. "Your birthday is coming up, 18. That's special." His eyes lingered. "Do you have plans? Maybe a party?" "I'd be happy to arrange something." "You deserve a proper celebration." A chill ran through me. We exchanged a quick glance. There was something beneath his words. Something only we understood. She forced a slow smile. "That would be nice." "Good," he replied, almost eagerly. We knew what we had to do. Act normal, act unaware, for our safety. Mom was still overseas. She wouldn't return until after the birthday. We were alone with him. And we only had each other. At school, we barely focused. After the final bell, reality settled in. It wasn't paranoia. We started planning. "We need to tell Mom," Jillian said. "She has to know who she married." "What if she doesn't believe us? What if she sides with him?" Then we show her proof. We gather everything. She won't be home for 2 weeks. Then we send it. Pictures, videos, anything we find. She'll believe us, she has too. We're her children. Her voice was steady. But I still saw fear. That afternoon, we returned while he was at work. Every second inside felt tense. Like he could step out at any moment. We moved fast. I photographed the hidden room again. Jillian recorded the statue and cloaks. We searched drawers and shelves. Anything to prove what we saw. Then we packed our bags. We didn't leave a note. We didn't want him tracking us. We stayed with Jillian's friend, Katrine. That night, we called Mom. Jillian broke down the moment she answered. "What's wrong?" Mom asked. We told her everything. The hidden room, the photos, the statue. The cloaks, the gathering, the word we heard. We sent every photo and video. There was a long silence. I thought she would dismiss us. "I believe you." Relief hit me so hard I cried. She had trusted him completely. But the photographs changed everything. She contacted her cousin in another city. Our aunt picked us up that night. Mom booked the first flight home. Even at our aunt's house, I couldn't relax. I felt like someone was watching. He would know our rooms were empty. He would know we found out. We had no idea how he'd respond. Sleep didn't come easily. Even miles away, we felt unsafe. The next day, Mom arrived. She pulled us into her arms. She was crying and apologizing. He had called her repeatedly. At first, he denied everything. Then he accused us of misunderstanding. Mom told him she was filing for divorce. His anger shifted into desperation. He asked her to reconsider. But she refused. I married someone I didn't truly know. Now we live far away from him. The divorce was finalized quietly. We never saw him again. Mom hasn't dated since. We just ask her to be careful. Because sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who seem perfect, charming, rehearsed, the most frightening masks are worn by someone smiling across the dinner table.
If this story followed you into the dark, there are more waiting. Subscribe to the Midnight Hour and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that finds its way back after midnight. Some stories wait for midnight.